7 already. I tell you, this is like every time I say the next week, it's like, wow, you know, we're just moving along. So glad that you guys are enjoying this process and getting so much out of it. I really appreciate your comments and your feedback, and I'm always excited by this process, and I've been doing this for years, and I've actually had this Art Mythos course over on Teachable for probably about 4 years now, and thousands of people have gone through this course, and I get a lot of good feedback. So I'm excited that you guys are enjoying the excerpts from my manuscript, the book that I'm publishing around this, which will have a lot of images. This book is designed to be like a coffee table book. This is going to have a lot of my images over the years, inspirational stuff, sort of quotes and different things that I've written, or the writings of others that have inspired me, as well as these journal prompts. So week 7. Now, the way this is flushing out, and you'll see as we move along, about every 7 weeks, I kind of shift gears. So this first 6 weeks were all about just exploring, you know, the inner muse, thinking about things maybe you haven't thought about in a long time, looking at your space, looking at how you create, giving yourself permission to maybe create more or use more space in your house, or thinking about yourself in relationship to creating. Now we're going to start moving into some of the elements of art. But we're still going to be asking questions. We're still exploring them, but we're looking at some of the elements of art now. So this whole course is designed to take you, really, it's like Elements of Art 101. Like, really, when you finish this course, you've really had a deep dive, just like first year in a fine arts, BFA course. Actually, I've designed it to be fun and flesh things out, but at the same time, you really are getting a lot of knowledge, a lot of understanding, and it's a deeper dive into your own art. So when you're done, you have a better idea of who you are as an artist and how you like to create. And I like to say that because I did work in university in the BFA program, 4th year thesis students. That's the class that I taught. They were working on their thesis, and after 4 years they still were struggling with who they were as an artist or what they were trying to say, and I thought, oh my God, this is not good. So a lot of these techniques that I'm sharing now, I implemented in that program to help artists really in that last year flesh out who they are, find out what your language is, establish your visual vocabulary, and that's what the course that I'm offering, that the month-long course, Hearth Codes, that I've shared with you. Hearth, it's a place, is the hearth, the heart, it's art. Hearth is an incredible anagram for so many very important words, and we're going to discuss that in that workshop. Many of you have already been signing up for it, but it's the same thing. It's really designed to really help flush out a visual vocabulary and get you more connected to who you are as an artist. So I've already put the link to the blog post that has the links to that course if you want to find out more about it below. But also this week's is Forbidden Colors, and that's a part of my Infinite Pool, which is a free course, and that link is below. So if you haven't done the Infinite Pool free course, please do it, because that is going to directly correlate to this week's journal prompt, and it gives you an idea of how the Art Mythos journal prompts work. That course works. And for those of you who've already taken it, and I know almost like 2,000 people have already gone through that free course, you'll be familiar with this, and it'll give you a chance to go and explore some new forbidden colors, because every time I do this, it's amazing how new colors pop up. So week 7, Forbidden Colors. Yes, this is one of those realizations that forever changed my life. When I opened myself to the fact that as an artist and a colorist, I had limited my use of various colors in my palette simply because I didn't like a particular color. And that's something I hear a lot from people who follow me all across the different platforms. They're like, I like what you did, but I really don't like that color. Or I don't like this color. You hear that a lot. And it's so amazing, because it's like speaking English and looking in the dictionary and deciding, I don't like that word. And it's a word that people use all the time. So you try not to use that word, but you're not communicating very good now because you're not using a particular word that would help you communicate better. That's why I want you to start thinking about colors, shape, line, texture. No, I don't like all the colors either, but I've learned that certain colors do communicate certain things, so I'm going to figure out how to use them. And that's the more important thing, learning how to use a color versus not using it at all. So armed with my toolbox as an artist, I had decided that certain colors had no place in my world. At first, this may not seem like a big deal. However, when given the opportunity to discover what colors may be and why you don't use them, what those colors may be, I'm sorry, and why you don't use them, that knowledge becomes power, and it will set you reeling in incredible new directions. For me, the first color that I discovered I had said no to was pink. Yep, that's right, pink. Years ago, if you had asked me why no to pink, I would have retorted, oh, it's girly, it's weak, it lacks the ability to say no, it's too gender specific, it's what's expected for women to like, too fairy tale inspired. It doesn't signify a strong, independent woman. I could have literally gone on and on. I mean, I had pink, why I didn't like pink, down. So, for those of you who are laughing right now or thinking, yep, I have pink colors I don't like, I'm sure you can identify with what I'm saying here. So in the book, I have palettes. I'm referring to that right now. But in the above colors, some of my favorite earth tones, I had worked with them all the time, but just without the pink. So I'm showing a palette with the earth tone colors that I like, and pink is in there. And so, yet this palette without pink is flat and it does not sing. Now, years later, after having discovered and worked through how I had misplaced emotions around my color language as an artist, I can't imagine painting without it. I can't imagine not using pink. And you guys see me, I use pink. So I realized that pink was connected to childhood feelings and memories that for an adult woman no longer held true. The fact may still remain that society, pushes gender identity through color. Yet as an adult woman fully in control of my emotions, I had the ability to protect myself or represent myself in an empowering way, regardless of my use of pink or any other color for that matter. This revelation allowed me to see that the color pink hadn't done anything to me. And when used in a palette, I often avoided it. It had made colors that I did favor much more dynamic. So when I used it, like the colors that I love, it actually made them better. So, so even when you don't have a color, so even if you don't have a color that you don't like, it has been my experience that when I tweak it to find the right hue, it will complement my palette and make it better. So even like pink, no, I still don't use every color pink, but I have tweaked pink in the various tones and hues of it that I can use almost in all the time because it will work with my palette. So sometimes, like I know a lot of people say, oh, I don't like brown. Well, what's interesting is that there are certain browns, like your taupey browns or sort of your tea color browns, that do work really nicely in palettes when people generally don't like brown. So a lot of times who people who use in the junk journal, community, and there's a lot of bright colors, a lot of pink, happy colors. There's a lot of people use like the children's books with the fun bunnies and stuff. But what do they do? What do they edge those prints with? Yes, vintage photo. Because that little bit of brown makes all of those colors pop. But they may not use brown, not in a single one of the actual pages, but they take it and use vintage photo to outline it because it gives it that little age. It frames it. It just gives it that little bit of yumminess. So it's just thinking about colors differently. We might use it as a main color. It may not be a 70 or 80% color, but it may be a 10% color. It may be 5%, and that's just enough to round your palette out so that it just makes things work better. So let's see. Now there's an exercise that's here in the manuscript, but it's that same exercise that's over there in the course, and it's kind of lengthy. So I'd rather for you, if you want to do the exercise around forbidden colors, just go over, hit the Infinite Pool course below. It's totally free. There's some videos over there. I think we do some jelly printing there. We're working with colors. I take you through that exercise, and you can explore and figure out maybe what color is not one of your most faves and how to make it favorite. So there we have it. Let's go ahead and start working. This week we're going to be working with the printables. Many of you have already purchased them. I'm sure you're already using them, so I'll be using them in this week's video. And let's see, let's just get started. I think that's everything to be said around the journal prompt Forbidden Colors. And if you don't go over to the free course, just play with the idea of what colors don't I like? Why don't I like them? Pull them out. Put them on some scrap paper and just play with them and see if you may find a variation of that color that you do. Because sometimes when we think of colors, we think of crayon box. You know, the 12 colors that came in a crayon box. And we don't like that brown. No, we don't. But we don't think about the colors that came in the 300 and something color box. You know what I mean? And there are some tones of brown in there that we do like. So think about it like that. Love you guys, and I'll see you on the table shortly. Okay, so we're back here. This is this month's printables, and what I thought was fun about them is I always kind of do my little collage style in my packs. Those of you who've been getting them, you're familiar with that now. But in my collection, I have lots of paste papers. I made a lot of paste papers for book projects that I worked on, various surface design projects that I worked on for various companies and stuff. And I have lots of paste papers, and they're just kind of sitting, not being used because they're my masters. I don't plan on cutting them up or anything. So I thought, well, how about we just take them this month and use them, as they make wonderful backgrounds. Look at them. They're just yummy. And then some of them I've taken and worked other, papers in with them, or even like this one, sort of giving you an idea of how this can just work in with this neutral palette with this sort of yummy blue. So just a quick flip through them so you guys will see. And I'm going to pull some of these out, and so some of them are my paste papers, and then I've worked some of them in with jelly prints. This is a jelly print with one of the paste papers, and that is from the text there is from an old Chinese document. I think it's actually a dictionary. So it's a pretty varied palette. And so I think I had these at the back because I'm going to work with these. And I'm going to show you a technique. So I pulled these. We'll just see. These are the ones that have some images. But I'm going to show you a technique that I like to do. So we'll start with this one. So I have these gray tones. This is iced spruce. Let me just make sure this tone is going to go. So one of the ways, so far we've been filling up the pages. Yeah, this ice spruce is kind of a greeny gray. I love it. Okay, so one of the things that I'll do is we can also just paint on our pages, right? So we don't have to glue the whole page. So I kind of mix it up. So I'm going to put some of this down, and I just take a card and I just kind of swipe color onto the page, just kind of really random like. Get a little more. Kind of get a little bit of this cover at the top. I don't mind it being a little irregular, but just I like to fill it in so it's not all looking the same kind of irregular, kind of mix it up a little bit. Okay, so let's say we'll do about that amount of paint on there. And I'll get one of my clips just to kind of keep the page flat because it'll start rolling up. Okay. And you can do this with your jelly prints as well. So that's dry because that just kind of goes down nice and flat. So even if you don't have the printables, you haven't gotten them or don't want to or whatever, you can use your jelly prints. So let's just decide. So maybe what I will do is I'm going to start off by taking I'm going to tear some of it, and then I'm going to kind of do a combination. I'll tear some of it, and then I'll cut around this shape. And then, so sometimes I kind of go between this sort of ripped thing and not so. So let's just see, because you can always decide that you're going to do something different. So I'm just going to kind of come up the page a little bit with it. So it's kind of cool. You get this ripped edge and then you get this straight edge. So let me just see where I want this to go. So first of all, let's just get the bottom off of it. So a lot of you have gotten a lot of my printables monthly. And so definitely, go back through those printables and just deconstruct them and use them in your journals too, because they're really fun to deconstruct and use, because it gives you a lot of ideas how to work with your jelly prints and stuff. Like sometimes we have that one special jelly print and we don't really want to mess it up, but we want to use it. Sometimes what you want to do is you just want to figure out, okay, so I can tear this right there. Sometimes you just want to figure out how to use the print, and you can either make a photocopy of it. If you don't have a photocopy, if you don't have a photocopier, then you can always just take them, obviously. I know this is Captain Obvious, but you can take them out to Staples or Home Depot or someplace like that. I mean, not Home Depot, Staples or Office Max, what I was thinking, and get them. So that edge like that, let me just get this down. I'm going to show you what I like to do with it. Especially when I'm using it like this, I just like to make a frame of it. So let's get this edge. And just see how cool that top is. It doesn't have to be fully painted in and all of that, because it just kind of gives just an abstraction to the whole piece of work here. So I like that. I think that's fun. It just kind of, you have some images there, but then we have that up there. So this edge, I like to use, we can use like, let me see what the ice spruce will look like as a frame against. So what I'm doing is I'm literally rubbing it on the edge. I'm not trying to get it up on the, I'm not doing it like this. I'm just really getting that edge. And what that does is it'll just frame. It's going to put a really subtle line there. Let me fold it like this because I got to get in there. Kind of hard for me to get that corner, huh? Maybe I'll do it like this. So when I put it down, you're going to see it'll bleed into that paper, but when you put it down, you see how you get that edge right there? See that? Like, let me lift it up. It's just a really subtle edge right there when you go to, and so it refines or defines that edge, and it just gives a little bit of color, so it just doesn't look just like a ripped sheet of paper. And because I like the ripped edge, I don't like getting rid of it, and I don't mind that white as contrast, but I just don't want it to. And other thing I don't care for is I don't really want it to, oh, I could do it like this on the edge. There we go. My grandmother would say, where there's a will, there's a way. It was like that little corner I was having a hard time. So if I just put it down and do it like that, it's a perfect corner for it. Yep, perfect. So I don't really want it like smushed on the top like that. I just want it to be right on that edge, and it absorbs the ink. Okay, perfect. And that edge around that circle gets defined. And so that's ice spruce. So it's the same as what we used here. And then this can be glued down. So let's go ahead and, whoops, let's glue it using our, here it is. So this is just another way you can think in terms of collaging. Just put down some, you know, color, some paints. You don't have to use these. You can use any of the paints you already have, of course. If you don't have any of the distressed, any paint will do. And then just take bits and pieces of images. Because sometimes even when you do a jelly print, you know how like it's a part of it you like and a part of it you're like, I think I messed this part up right here. Like you don't like it as much. So think of it like this. You can still use it in your journal and just take a bit of it. Okay. So put this in place here. Those colors work nicely. Let me just get, yeah, that's nice. And then that's just a fun collage page using, you know, bits and pieces of prints. You can even do this if you're not, I know a few of you guys who are doing this challenge are not necessarily jelly printers, but you're saying you're really enjoying the challenge. You can use this with, you can do this with magazines, you know, just have a bunch of old magazines, National Geographics, things like that. Just think of them in terms of collaging them partially on a page with maybe some painting. Maybe you do Zendangle, or maybe you're doing some other type of drawing and whatever and you can integrate a part of the image into your drawing or your sketching. Man, you can think outside the box with this. You know, whatever your style is, take this idea and just incorporate it into your style, like the way you work. And you can use anything, you know. I have journals that I've started with just magazine page collage inspirations. So yeah, let me put this back up here. So yeah, it's no, you know me, no rights, no wrongs, just having fun. Okay, so I'm thinking that the next one I'm gonna do is this one because I think these colors go well, and I want to trying to figure out which, so let me just go ahead and get these edges off. That's just a good place to start. So we'll get these off, and then maybe what I'll do is I'm going to use my other ruler. Okay. It's easier when I get this white bit off. I can see what I'm trying to do. Okay. So the whole idea with our journaling and together is, you know, just for me to try to give you as many ideas and techniques and stuff that you can use and try just to flush your journaling out, and just just doing different things in a journal, so that, you know, not only are you really learning what it is about. This is how I use the ones from last week. Really love this. Stamping those dictionary pages, and then I use them back in bits and pieces, and I use some of my old Asian ephemera. And then this was that one that we did, and this is some of my old European language. I think this is French. And though that was that, remember the sheet I was just stamping off onto the side? When I was done with them, oh, I like that. So I put this in my journal, and I'll build up on this. You know, it's not done. So remember, I'm always saying, even your waste sheets, if you something about them you like, put them in your journal. So, yeah, so there's just a lot of ways that we can look at that. And let me look at this here. I think what I'm going to do here, I was going to use this one, but I got a circle here. Why do a circle? Let's just take this bottom bit. I'm going to do something slightly different. So, let me just do it like this. I'll do it by hand. I think I can kind of follow this line here. And I do all these, I give you full sheets a lot of times of a lot of them that I think really stand as a full image. Like this one is this one. So you have a full image, but then I play around with other bits and pieces of ephemera and stuff, just to kind of give you guys other pieces to work with that, like, you may not already have this kind of text. So me putting it in here gives an opportunity for you to have it to use. And this image, I'm going to show you where I did this from. I took a picture of my journal. Let me see, where is it? It's in here. You guys probably already recognized it. Look. It's this right here. It's this image here. So I often I'll take and reuse the image. So you look at something like, and I did this to show you guys that you can look at something like this and say, oh, it's just in a journal. Oh yeah, it's nice, but what is it really saying? Well, it's a background. So I took and photographed it. And then I brought it into Photoshop and used it in one of my, you know, circles. I love these circles. And you can even see the page, the stitching that's right there. And it just adds another element. So already this has just become, you know, so these journal pages, I'm telling you, you can photocopy them. You can really use these as your own, you know. I should have been shaking this up. Oh my goodness. So I think I'm going to use hickory smoke, because we're still using these sort of gray, greeny colors, you know. No, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use, should I use the white, or should I use, here, this is where, you know, where are my other colors? Okay, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Don't have, I thought I had it right up here on my table. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a combination. That's what I'm going to do. Because I kind of want it gray and I kind of want it white. So let's put some hickory smoke down first. So this is a little darker than what I wanted, you know, overall, but you'll see. So let's take the Waverly and the Ivory. This is the stuff we got at Kind of got a little clog there. This is the paint that I get at Walmart, but you can get this at Joann's or Hobby Lobby. A lot of places carry it, and I know a lot of you have been able to get this in Europe, you were saying. So carried a lot of places. So see how I'm just kind of overprinting now with this white, and I'm just just kind of getting it so that it's really sort of, I still want to see that gray underneath it. And what I can do is I can take one of my baby wipes. Alrighty, so I'm going to, I put that white over, as you can see. And I decided that I really shouldn't be using this card, because this is my little angle card for cutting my tags. But it's the only one that seems to stay clean, except for it's not going to be clean if I keep on using it. Let me just use this one. Okay. So I kind of want a little bit more color in that area, just to kind of pull that together. So we'll just put some down. Kind of do it like this. Alrighty, so now I'm going to come back with a little bit more of this white. Just kind of go back and forth like this a bit. Just to kind of build up thin layers. Okay, let's just see. So I'm kind of feeling like I had this little piece of coffee stained tissue paper, and I sort of liked the idea of it sort of blending these sections together, because this paper has some creamy tones to it. So I think I'm going to end up doing something like this, just to kind of blend it all together. And though I'm going to do some, before I do that part of it, using my black Sumi ink, I'm going to do some scripting on the page, just to add another layer. And this is where a good thing is for you to do for those of you who do scripting, or for those of you who have my stencils, you can use those. Or any other stencils that you may have. So yeah. Okay, I like that. So while that's drying, let's get the black soot in the Distress Oxide stamp pad, and let's just do the same thing that we did the other side. We're going to use the black soot. So it'll be a little bit more of a contrast to go with this background. Okay. I think I might like put this piece there. Trying to figure out which side I like the best. I don't think I've decided. Well, while I'm waiting to do that, I decided, since I was going to do some scripting here, that I was going to integrate this piece by scripting, and I'm going to use this is the white, titanium white in the Liquitex inks. I mean, you can get these at Michael's, Joann's. Of course, you can get them online. I have links for them on Amazon. For those of you who just can't get out or don't have any of those stores close by. And literally, I just use the nozzle and I paint with it. I do scripting with it just to integrate the two fields. Love it. So it's just a neat way to integrate that print and using the white like that. I love it. Love it. Ah, boy, that kind of stuff makes me so happy. Okay, so now this is basically dry. So let's go ahead and I think I'm gonna still put this down. I like that. And what it does, it brings the creamy tones from here also visually over to this side as well as integrating that other piece. So it's just a good thing to do. I'm going to use the Oohoo glue stick because it's a little easier on this thinner paper, as we've talked about in the past. I don't want to tear the paper, of course. Okay, just get the edges. All right. Let's go ahead and put that like right there. Let me see. Let me double check it before I put it down. Nope, I need it higher. Let's put it a little higher. And the nice thing about it is, yeah, it's good, is that, excuse me, we're going to be able to see the scripting through it. So it just gives another layer of being able to transition, you know, from here to here to here. Why can't I make up my mind what side I like? Maybe because they're so similar it doesn't matter. How about that? That could be one of the reasons. I'm gonna go with this one. Okay. So let's just go ahead and get this section down. And you're going to be able to see the difference of where we, you know, also put the ink line to frame this print. We'll see it nicely when we go to put it. I'm just letting this extend over a little bit so that I can be able to trim it at the bottom. Hold up. Wait a minute. Just trying to get it inside this gully so it's not going to be folding, you know, into that page. Okay. There. So what's nice is you can really see, let me just trim this, you can really see that line. Okay. So there we are. Look at that. Yay. So you can really see that line nicely, just how it just gives that extra little bit there. And then using this, now this tissue paper, honestly, is just dollar store tissue paper that you use for gift wrapping. You know, it comes white. You get what, like 50 sheets or something for $1. And I just take and use my spritzer with some coffee in it, and or any color stain you can use, but this is using coffee, and I just spritz it and then you let it dry. Don't try to move it. Sometimes I just have it balled up. Like I'll just kind of crinkle it, and then just let it dry. And when it dries, you can separate it again. Or if you just want to lay it out flat and spritz it, but just don't try to move it while it's wet because it will definitely rip. But if you move it, if you just wait for it to totally dry, then you can just have tons of this stuff, you know, for a little bit of nothing. And it just makes them really, it's almost like using tea bags or something like that, tea paper. And you can see this here. It's just a beautiful integration. And this liquid text actually has a little volume, so it's because it's an acrylic ink, it actually lays on top of your work, so it really has some nice dimension to it, which I love. And then this is a sumi ink, so that you can see it just absorbs into the paper. And then with our print from, these both are from the February Printables pack. And so I'm just going to continue to move through the next, 4 pages this same way. I'm just going to pull from the pack and just have fun. I like this style of collaging because it really does integrate the painting, sort of the abstract movement with scripting, with images, with bits and pieces of odd paper that we have. So yeah, just maybe a different way or another way of thinking about using your pages in your journal. Hopefully you've gotten some ideas here. And as always, if you like the video, please thumb it up and share it out to others in the community that you know may like the kind of work we're doing here. If you're new, welcome, and please subscribe, hit the bell so you'll get the notifications when the new videos come up. And week 7, yes, it has been forbidden colors. So this week, think about forbidden colors, re-inform yourself about color, just be free with it. Like, pick the yuckiest color, like pick the color that you would not use, honestly. Now, you don't have to do that right in your journal. Do this stuff on scrap paper and stuff like that, so you can discover a lot about it. I'm not suggesting you put that in your journal right off. No, let's play with it first. And so you can get to a happy place with a color that you just disdain. And then you're like, oh, okay, I can see how I can use this in my work, or I'll just use like a little dot of it, but I can see how it's going to work. It's really just an exercise in opening yourself, because color is emotional. It really is. And most colors have some kind of emotion associated with, like sometimes foods, like you could have just had a bad experience with a particular food when you were a kid, and you just can't get over it. Like, you just can't get over it. And it's like not rational, but you just can't get over it. Like, you really don't even dislike it. It might have just been associated with something that just kind of turned you, like, whatever. Could have been associated with a bug had landed in it or something. And like, I don't ever want that. My daughter had that happen with, honest to goodness, with sweet potatoes. One day we were doing something, I don't know, we were out and, she was eating sweet potatoes and a fly landed in it, And from that point, she was like, oh my God, a fly, couldn't get. And from that point on, she's all, like, she eats sweet potatoes, but like mashed. She's not crazy about it, like how you have it at the holidays. And she's like, ugh. And she's an adult now, but she'll say, I just can't get over the fact that the fly landed in it. And I was 6, or whatever. It's a strange associations like that, So if we challenge ourselves as artists to really find out what's going on with that particular color for us, you'd be surprised the things you may learn. And you may not still ever use the color, or you may use it slightly, but you'll have a new relationship to it, or maybe a new relationship to a particular hue of that color. So anyway, happy rest of your weekend. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. As always, I enjoy you guys hanging out with me. I enjoy being here with you all. And these pages are really yummy. I'm loving them. And okay, take care. I'll have the link underneath here also for the February Printables. For those of you who haven't gotten them yet and want to know where the link is, it's always in the description box. The link for the Infinite Pool, which is the free course that is a part of the Forbidden Colors. If you haven't done that, please hit the link. You'll find it below. Go over there. You're going to have a lot of fun with that this week. And Hearth Codes, for those of you who want to take that, it's a 4-week workshop. We're meeting once a week. We're going to be making scrolls. We'll be meeting for 2, probably 3 hours. We're going to be making scrolls. We're going to be dealing with images. We're going to be fleshing out the idea of scripting and the kinds of shapes that come and symbols that come with scripting. Yeah, it's going to be a really, really good and a lot of fun. So anyway, that link will also be below. And I guess that's everything. Love you guys. Take care. And I will see you again next week. Bye-bye.